Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. Just give me 30 seconds so that all the participants get in, and then we can start. Okay, while the participants arrive, good afternoon again. Welcome to this session about the software made and software hosted in Europe labels. My name is Judith Zampedri. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager at the European Digital SME Alliance, and I'll be today's moderator of the session. So, well, you registered to this event, so more or less you should know what it is about, but basically we thought to organize a short info session for all the companies that might be interested in getting to know more about these two new labels we launched. As I said, software made and software hosted in Europe. We have a presentation later about all the details of the labels, but basically the idea behind them is to give labels to companies that comply to certain criteria and proving that their software is either made in Europe or hosted in Europe. And the companies can use these labels as proof of their technological sovereignty. Sorry, sometimes very difficult to say. They can use them in their communication, marketing, for building trust among their clients. I think we've all been in the situation in the past years of, trying to understand where a company is from, and sometimes transparency is not there. So the idea for these labels is also to increase transparency and trust. Okay. Maybe a few housekeeping rules before we start. So the idea behind the webinar is to provide you with a lot of information. From this information, maybe you will get some questions, which then to have a chat here that you can see in the middle. There is an icon cloud. And if you have any questions at any given time, you can type them there. And we will try to reply to them during the Q&A part. So that's what you can do in case you have any of these questions. Of course, then we stay available after the event for any further questions. The webinar will be recorded, so if you have any, you want to watch back or anything, you will be able to do so. And we will also share the slides after the event for you to keep. Okay, then I'll move to the agenda. And if I manage to change slides, yes. Here you see a little bit, so I'm doing the introduction. Then we'll have my colleague, Christian Allier, presenting basically the two labels, more practical informations about, what criteria we are using to give these labels, how can you apply, and so on. And after that, we'll have a Q&A session. So again, while Christian is presenting, if something is not clear or you have more questions, just feel free to type them. Then we will have our colleague, Lisa Heventrout from BitMe, presenting a little bit the work they did in Germany, because basically BitMe already has some labels for Germany, which are very similar to the European ones, and they've been doing this work for quite some time. So we thought it would be interesting to hear from her side how it went and why they're important. And then in the end, we'll also have a company use case of a company called AlphaView, presenting basically the benefits they got from having such labels and how they help them growing their business. So for that part, we'll have Armin Schweinfurth. And then last but not least, it's me with a short slide about another initiative we're doing to foster tech sovereignty, which is called the Tech Sovereignty Catalog. And I'll tell you more about it at the end. Yeah, that will be it. Moving to the next part, I'll give the floor to Christian for the practical information.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome to this webinar. My name is Christian Allier. Thank you, Julia, for the introduction. And I will now talk a little bit more about the software labels that we have introduced now more or less 3 months ago at the Digital SME Summit that took place here in Brussels on 4th of December. And then we officially launched those 2 labels. Maybe first, I will turn a little bit to the first label and then to the second. So the first label is called Software Made in Europe, and it's quite self-explanatory. The name already says it all. It's for software solutions that have been developed in Europe. So what do we want to do with this label? We want to give European software developers and European software providers the visibility that they should get as a real European company, and showcase also Europe's capacity that we have when it comes to building software. On the other hand, software hosted in Europe is a label that gets awarded to solutions that are hosted in Europe concerning data sovereignty, GDPR compliance, and also giving more trust to those solutions when all the data is hosted also in Europe. I think I can already go on to the next slide. Why did we come up with these labels? What is the mission behind it? What are the benefits? Well, as I said before, the software labels are there to promote European-based software providers, to promote European software. And what they should do is, for one thing, boost their visibility, give more visibility to European software providers, and have a bigger commercial outreach beyond also those domestic markets that we have in Europe, beyond the national markets, but to also be able to compete on the European level. Basically, with those labels, you get 3 benefits. The first one is that they build trust. Potential customers of your software, for example, they will see this label and they will know, okay, you are a European software provider, that software has been either developed or is hosted in Europe. So the people know they can trust it more, especially when it comes to data security and GDPR compliance. Then on the other hand, it also increases your visibility as a European company. You will get showcased on the dedicated label websites that we have, like that we have here at Digital SME, but for example, also our colleagues from BITME, from the German National Association. And you can also show the labels on your own website, showing again the European source of your software. And last but not least, of course, also if you have those labels, you also support the mission of tech sovereignty and putting really European software, European innovation more to the foreground, to give it, to showcase it more. All right. Yes, this one. A big question is, of course, also what's eligibility? How can you get those labels? Who is eligible for it? And it's quite easy. For software made in Europe, or for both, I will start with software made in Europe first. One important thing is, of course, where the company is headquartered. So the company that has this software solution must be a legal entity headquartered in Europe. Then second, during the application process, the company must then provide also reasonable assurance that there is no major ownership or control from outside Europe. So at least 51% of the ownership must be also European. And then also, when we especially look at the software made in Europe label, also more than 50% of the development that has taken place And also the company's R&D activities must be located in the EU 27 or EFTA countries. So that may be also an interesting detail. With Europe, in this case, we mean the EU, the European Union member states, as well as the EFTA countries. And then, as I already mentioned, the key stages of the software development must have been carried out in Europe. We're talking also about majority. Then again, that it has been made in Europe, also in these key stages. Also, when it comes to development, testing, refinement, whatsoever. When we look at software hosted in Europe, in the beginning, it's quite similar. The company also must be a legal entity headquartered in Europe. But then it gets, of course, more to the hosting. And the software thus must be hosted within, again, European Union member states or EFTA countries. But moreover, also the hosting and data not only has to be in European countries, but also the hosting must be provided by a European hosting provider, which is not subject to any non-European jurisdiction or legal control. This is the overview about the eligibility. If we move to the next slide. I will give now also some really practical, very practical information on how to apply to these software labels, because there is one general website, which is called techmadein.eu. Easy to remember, I guess. And the hyphens, you can also leave them away. They all lead to the same place, whether you use the hyphens or not. Techmadein.eu is the general website where you can learn more about the labels. And on this website, you can also then select a label issuer. As of this moment, we have two. We have our colleagues from BitMe, which issued the label for German companies. And we have us here at Digital SME, and we issue the label for all the rest, for all other European companies. And then on the respective websites, you can select the label and fill out the application form. After you send the application form, we will assess the software solution and then answer by mail whether you are awarded the labels or not. And then you will also get a possibility to pay for the labels, and then you get the labels plus a certificate sent to you. A little side note is here that also the labels are awarded to specific software solutions and not the whole company itself. If we move to the next slide, which is also a video that you can click on. Is it possible to play it?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's pretty, but this would have just visually explained what I said before. You can just visit this website. This is the general website, the techmadein.eu website. And there, if you scroll down, you can see the two issuers. So BitMe for German companies and Digital SME for European companies. And this will be a link leading to the label applications forms, which you can fill out and send. Yes, I think we can move to the next slide. Yes, which is, now I hope everybody sees it, which is the pricing for us at Digital SME. We sell the label for 600 euros, one label, either made or software hosted in Europe. And as I said, you receive then the label plus a certificate naming you as a proud owner of a European software solution. However, if you're interested in obtaining both labels, well, first of all, you have to also apply, of course, for both equally and sent the application form, but we thought of a special price of then combined 1,000 euros for both of these labels, so a saving of 200 euros. And then also, if you are interested in also becoming a member of us at Digital SME, there are also special offers that we offer. You can save normally a membership at Digital SME costs for individual SMEs, for individual companies costs 999 euros, and we give a discount of 400 euros on it. Why should you become a member at Digital SME? Because we offer SMEs and companies in the tech sector, especially 3 services, which is first one is more access to European funding. We are ourselves quite active in European funding, and we also facilitate the access of European SMEs to this funding, talking about Horizon Europe program, Digital Europe program, and so on. We also do strategic networking and different networking events. And then last but not least, we also offer, of course, as a Brussels organization, policy and representation efforts to our members. So if you're interested in that and in the labels, we also have a good offer for you. Yes, we can move on to the next slide, which will be the Q&A session. So as we said before, if you have any questions, now is the perfect time to ask them, and it would be best to text them in the chat, and then we'll read them out loud.
Yeah, I see there are already quite some questions. Maybe Christian, I can read them to you.
Yeah.
So the first one, okay, but you replied about what's the definition of Europe. Maybe you can remember. Yeah. It's UN-EFTA. Yeah. That's at the moment the scope. What is the question here we have by Simon or Simon, depending on where you're from. How is it with AWS or Microsoft Azure with data centers in Europe? Which is a question we talked about many times. So that's a good question.
Definitely, that arises also a lot, this question. This is especially now for the software hosted in Europe label. And there I can say that, for example, the third point in our eligibility, which is that because, for example, with AWS, while in their so-called sovereign cloud, data is hosted in Europe, it's still subject to US jurisdiction via the Cloud Act. So that's why we have the eligibility requirement that you host it with European providers, which are not subject to any jurisdiction outside of Europe itself.
Thank you, Christian. The next question is from Svetlana. And the question is, what about if the software has multiple locations and the software is hosted depending on the user's location? Is the label still relevant? And I'm assuming she talks about the hosted one.
Yes, sorry, the question was a little bit somewhere else in my chat. Julia, you can also, I mean, answer if you already have the
yeah, exactly. Maybe it's easier. Yeah, so that depends. Of course, we have an exception, meaning that, of course, if that depends on the request by the client. So I don't know if you have a client in Brazil that is asking to host the software there. It's, of course, not an issue. So it really depends on case by case, but we leave, of course, room for exceptions and clients' needs. That's not about, keeping everything in Europe. But so yeah, it's not an issue. There is a part in the application form where you can specify that, and there are no issues about hosting the software in other parts of the world based on clients' needs. Great. So the next question is there a register catalog of all companies currently certified with the labels?
Yeah, so this will be also very soon, as the labels are still quite new. Everything is also well, a little bit work in process. It's a dynamic evolution, but also on the general website where I've been talking about, all certified companies will be seen and registered. But then also, of course, at least for us at Digital SME, on our digitalsme.eu website, on the respective websites there for the labels, we will also showcase all labels, which we are actually already doing, for example, for the software made in Europe. You can also see that there, and yeah, it will still also grow that registry. And I think, but I don't want to speak for Lisa, BitMe is doing the same.
Yeah. Thank you, Christian. Then a question from Sarah. Is it foreseen that other entities join as label issuers in different use countries? The answer is maybe I just replied that because Sarah, we actually sent an email. Yes, we are more than open to expand our label issuers network. If any of you in the webinar is interested in becoming issuers, because for example you're an association representing multiple companies and this could be interested for your members, please get in touch. Great. Then the other question is, well, I see many questions were about this software also present in other markets. I think we addressed that. Then we have a question about, can you explain more about how the assessment is made? Is this based on scoring system?
So the assessment is based on the information that is required on the application form. For example, for us, if you visit digitalsme.eu, go to the respective label page, and then click on Apply Now, you will see an application form where we ask a little bit about the things where I already talked about for like in eligibility. So, for example, what are the majority stakes for hosted? We will ask where is your solution hosted, and this is all a self-declaration. We do ask, for example, also for a signed declaration of accuracy. Of course, but we don't do a technical assessment in a sense of your company and of your software. So this is all based on the application form. And then we don't have a scoring system. We either assess, award the label if all the checkboxes are ticked, or don't if it's not eligible.
Thank you, Christian. Then Louise is asking for some European cloud hosting providers that could make our software solutions eligible to obtain the labels. And I see that Robin underneath already mentioned OVH Cloud. Of course, we cannot give you an exhaustive list. There are actually many cloud providers in Europe. OVH Cloud, Yonos, Aruba, and so on. Actually, Luisa, maybe in the last slide, I have something that might help you in looking for, more sovereign solutions and European ones. So stay till the end. That's what I'm saying. And also, we are organizing a series of events called Tech Solutions Made in Europe, and that actually the next episode will be on cloud. So you might be interested in hearing more about that. Yes, Robin, I see you continued providing more options for European clouds. Thank you. Then we have a question about from Robin, how do these labels relate to the Made in Europe plans from the EU? We're working very closely with, especially the European Commission on ensuring, the definition of tech sovereignty, or what is a sovereign solution, is aligned. So that's how we relate. So we are looking into more institutional partnerships, of course, and trying to showcase also through these labels that we have a lot of sovereign solutions in Europe. You just don't see them yet, or maybe they're less well known than other solutions. Then what is the
I have still seen, sorry, Julia, but I have still seen, I don't know if you have already answered the question, but what if the software has AI components which are provided by non-EU companies, for example, Gemini or ChatGPT integration? I don't think we have answered that already, no?
No, exactly.
But in short, I can also say that there, it's also important to look at the majority development. Of course, if there are parts of it, it's okay, but it shouldn't be the whole development of the software solution. So if this is just a small part of it, it's no problem, but it shouldn't be the majority of the software solution.
Thank you. Yeah, then I see that Christian is asking a question: what's the difference between software made in EU and software made in Germany label from BitMe? And yes, indeed, maybe Lisa will address this in a second, and I leave it up to her for later. Is this, and Pau has a question about, can only SMEs apply, or is this open also, for example, to universities or research centers?
So it's definitely open also to universities and research centers. The important thing is the solution we will look at and we will assess. So if you have a software solution, if you have developed it, you can also get the label for this. You don't need to be a private company per se.
Thank you, Christian. That would be it for the moment. Again, reminding our audience that if you have any other questions, just type them in the chat. We'll try either to address them later or reply to you in writing. Okay, thank you, Christian, for the comprehensive presentation. And I'll move on to the next part of the session, which is, as we were mentioning before, from Lisa, the significance of the labels from a German perspective. Lisa, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Yeah, you already introduced me. My name is Lisa. I'm here for BitMe, which is the German Association for ICT SMEs. And yeah, I'm here to give you a brief insight into our experience with the labels software made in Germany and software hosted in Germany. And yeah, we're excited that we now have, in addition, those European labels, and we are very happy to support this initiative just as a starter. So, but I want to go a bit into our history. And for the next slide, exactly, just give you an impression of our history with the labels. We started software made in Germany in 2011, and 3 years later, software hosted in Germany followed in 2014. And now we have over 470 companies with software made in Germany and nearly 300 companies with software hosted in Germany. And as you can see with the numbers, most of the companies decide to get the labels for more than one of their products. And yeah, I think the companies, the numbers speak for themselves, that the labels are quite popular in Germany with the software companies. The next slide shows that our label has been under the patronage of the Ministry of Economic Affairs for over 10 years. Recently, we've switched to the Digital Ministry. It took Germany some time to get the Ministry for Digital Affairs. So we took the switch just now. And just last week, the minister took the time to meet with us and have a brief exchange. And I took one of his quotes and translated it for you. He said, "The label makes the origin of a software product transparent at first glance and strengthens the domestic digital industry. Germany's digital future is largely shaped by its IT SMEs." And of course, from BitMe side, we cannot agree more with this quote. And the minister, of course, had the German focus there, but I think it's equally true for Europe. Europe's digital future is largely shaped by companies such as yours, the ICT SMEs. And yeah, for us, this meeting also showed that the labels are recognized at the highest political level, and also that they carry the credibility that we believe they deserve. So for us, that was quite the strengthening of the initiative again. On the next slide, I have some examples for you how our companies use the labels. Those are now only screenshots from their websites, but of course our members use the labels not only on websites, but on all kinds of marketing products, on exhibition booths, on flyers, on roll-ups, beach flags, on any product you can print on. The label and the logo of the label is used. And they use it, of course, to show their customers that they share the same values. Especially in the B2B context, the customers also often identify with the claim made in Germany in our case, and our companies use this to connect with them. And also with the hosted label, I mean, Christian also said that they show that they care about their customers' data, and just want to give a clear sign on that side. In our experience, those labels really help our member companies, and they actually are a factor in the decision-making process of the customers. And in short, the labels help you gain visibility and build trust with your customers. And that's so far from our German side. We are now excited to see how things will go with the European labels. From Bitme side, we already have a high demand on the labels for the European part. So if there are any questions regarding the issuing of the European labels, you can just go ahead and ask, and I will just jump into the question, Julia, you already passed on to me. Actually, there is no difference between the label made in Germany and made in Europe, but the geographic area. So if you already have the label software made in Germany or software hosted in Germany, you can automatically, so to say, get the labels for Europe because all the criteria are met. Actually, Bitme already sent a whole campaign out to all our companies that already have the German labels to inform them on the European labels. Many of them followed this and already got the European labels. And but if you didn't see that or still want to get in on that, don't hesitate. You can do everything online on our page. Christian already said it before. We have our own page, softwaremadeingermany.org, where all the URLs point to that too when you search for that. And there we have an online marketplace with all the companies and the products that already carry the German labels, and we are working on getting all the European labels on there too. I think we are nearly finished. You can already find software made in Europe and software made hosted in Europe on this page with the products and the labels. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Very straight to the point, and I guess to what people cared about. So thank you for the presentation. I have one question here. How is German labels and public procurement in Germany? Sorry, what is the question about? So I was focusing on the question below. I'm sorry, I got lost. So it's the first question. So I guess the question is about whether the German labels can actually help companies in their public procurement application.
Okay.
Do you have any members or labeled companies that I don't know, mentioned that getting these labels also helped?
Yes, I would say on an informal level, we hear that it helps, but it's a point where we from Bitme side work also on with the government, so that it's a decisive criteria, not our label actually, but that companies from Europe and Germany will get a specific look after into their products to be seen and to support the digital sovereignty. But it's not like it's an official criterion, of course, but it helps definitely. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. And then you were reading probably the last question. I think there's been a misunderstanding here
Yeah, I think so
about
too.
German labels doing a company certification and European one doing a product certification, which is not.
So
Yeah.
I was not, maybe I was not clear enough on that. We also only do a product certification. So of course the companies use this to say they make software, they are software made in Germany. The products made by them are software made in Germany, but it's not for the whole company. It's only specific for the products.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
There are no further questions at the moment, so I hope you can stay, and in case there are more, we can address them later. Okay, then I'll move to the second to last part of today's webinar, which is about basically an experience from actually a company that has one of these labels, and we thought it would be nice to hear a little bit their experience. So I would like to give the floor to Armin Schweinfurt, Business Development Manager of AlphaView. Hello, Armin, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be able to be here today. At first, do you hear me clearly? Are you able to hear me clearly? Okay, awesome, good. I didn't prepare a certain presentation. I asked the team the couple of last days about the experience with the labels, and I wanted to be here to tell you more about our experience we had with both labels. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Armin Schweinfurt. I'm Business Development Manager of AlphaView Video Conferencing, AlphaView GmbH. We are a German-based video conferencing software company. And for us, and especially for our customers, it's very, very important to have a secure and reliable video conferencing tool made in Europe, for us, especially made in Germany. And the point is that, or the reason why our customers look for new solutions, especially European-based solution, is the rising tension between different countries. You all hear the news, you all see what's happening, and it's interesting. Since we have the two labels, we experienced a couple of things, and I prepared a list for you. I wanted to talk about. At first, the labels software made in Europe and software hosted in Europe are an instant trust signal. So they immediately answer the question, where is the tool built or where is it hosted? When you look for, or when you look at the process, how companies look for software, it can be a very, very complicated process. So having this instant trust signal, it helps customer to choose your software. The second part, which is very helpful for us, is that it's a clear European value proposition. So that means with these two labels, we show that we believe in sovereignty and independence, which is also now a very important buyer criteria for our customers. One thing, especially when it comes to data law, is that with these labels, we communicate that hosted, or especially with hosted in Europe, we communicate that the data stays under the European law, which is especially important when you think about new developments and new agreements with data laws worldwide. So our customers especially look for European solutions, and it helps them to feel confident that in this case, our solution with these two labels is the best for them. When we switch a little bit to the marketing and sales perspective, the labels help us to differentiate us easier from the competition. If you think about the software market right now and what will happen in the next couple of years, we will see a massive increase in software companies. Because since the development of AI, it's more and more easier to create software. And for sure, we need to have tools that differentiate us from others. So having these labels improves that. So with this label, we have a kind of a filter effect. So people already know, okay, I'm here, I see it's made in Europe, it's hosted in Europe, so I don't have to look or watch out for other solutions that much. And the last point is, which is very interesting as well, it helps us with lead generation and during sales calls. That means especially when it comes to topic like sovereignty, or when it comes to topics like data security, it's easy to talk to the leads. We show the labels during our presentation. We also place them on our website, so it's very easy to talk to customers, and they act like an anchor for us during the sales calls. So we're able to explain the customers what they mean and how they help themselves as well to differentiate us from other companies. So we're very happy with the labels. And as I said, we have these different parts of results. This is overall very positive experience with both of them. Yes.
Thank you so much, Armin, for your overview. I think it was very clear, and I'm very happy to hear. First of all, the customers are looking for more transparency and looking for European solutions, which is, not to give for granted as well. And also that this means that you got also more business opportunities through the labels. So thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit the story. We appreciate it. I don't see any questions for you at the moment. If there are any, please check maybe the chat.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going back to sharing my screen, and I'll move into the last part, which is a little bit less related to the labels themselves, but it's still an initiative connected to tech sovereignty. So before closing the webinar and letting you check in peace all the different materials, links to the labels website and so on, I wanted to go quickly into these. So a digital SME, other than the labels, we've been talking about tech sovereignty for the past probably more than 10 years. Of course, in the past year, we realized there was even more a need to actually assess at which point are we when it comes to technological sovereignty in Europe. That's why we launched the labels as an initiative and as a recognition to the companies that develop and host their solutions in Europe. We also launched in parallel an initiative which is called the Tech Sovereignty Catalog. So we realized that it's sometimes very difficult to assess which kind of capacity we have when it comes to digital solutions that are sovereign. So we started from defining what sovereignty means, and we came up with a series of criteria. And then we are asking companies to submit their solutions into a catalog, which helps us in two ways. One is for us and, for example, for the European institutions and other research organizations and so on. This is an instrument to map European capabilities, to understand if there are any gaps, what are the gaps, but also what do we have already and how can we best exploit it. So the first thing we did with this catalog is, the first, let's say, mission is to map European capabilities. And then in the second part, let's say, of the catalog, we also have this as a visibility tool for companies. So if we are working into giving visibility to the catalog to the broader public, but we also have a series of partners That can be, research centers, but also other business organizations, but also, bigger European companies that are looking for potential clients and so on, that are partners of this catalog and are looking at the solutions there, and therefore maybe potentially offering, different opportunities to the companies that are featured in this catalog. So if you're interested in knowing more or would like to submit your solution or anyway see the criteria, I'll share in a second, or maybe I ask one of my colleagues to share the link in the chat, and you can take a look. At the moment, we're close to the 100 solutions. This is a free initiative, so if you're interested in submitting your solutions there, you can do that. Just keep in mind we have some criteria. For example, the solution needs to be European, the legal entity must be registered in Europe. We're looking at solutions at least with TRL 9. The data should be hosted in Europe. So the criteria are a little bit more stringent, for example, compared to the labels that we just presented. But if you fit in there, I would be very happy to see your submissions. That's kind of what I wanted to present very shortly. And then thank you. But I see there was before that a question from Paul. What happens if the product label, if the company changes ownership to outside the Europe? So just to clarify, the labels have a validity of 1 year, and the company commits also to let us know of any changes in their ownership structure or software development process. So anyways, we should know. And then of course, if the ownership changes, we cannot keep issuing the label. Okay, that's it from my side. I thank you all. You will get the recording and the slides from this session sent soon to you. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, Christian, or Lisa, and we'll be more than happy to support you. Thank you. And thank you also to Lisa, Armin, and Christian for providing the content today. And I wish you a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.